to something real quick. Todd, I don't know if you saw yesterday. First of all, I want to commend again our new Attorney General, Kwame Raoul, for challenging the Jason Van Dyke sentence. Because I'm like, that's one of those things where he could have just let it go and not even added the drama to it, but he decided to step up. But yesterday, the Supreme Court ruled against Jason Van Dyke getting an extended sentence, and essentially ruled against precedent that the Illinois Supreme Court essentially yesterday ruled against its own self in suggesting that there should not have been a change, that Jason Van Dyke's sentence should not have changed, with the exception of one justice, Justice Scott Neville. Now, Justice Scott Neville, in case you all don't know, was recently appointed to replace Charles Freeman, Justice Charles Freeman, who served forever. I think he was the first black Supreme Court justice, as a matter of fact. Also a member of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated. Shout out to the great men of Phi Beta Sigma. No, you got it wrong.
I got it wrong.
Yeah, clearly. Sounds like some alpha stuff. Anyway.
That's because the rest of the alphas were all,
they were all
the rest of the places running things.
Don't get me started, because I'm the Joan King. Y'all be mad. Y'all will be mad. Everybody be mad. But anyway, the point of the matter is, Judge Scott Neville, who in judicial circuits, some people call him the most thoughtful black jurist on the bench, and he's respected by all of his colleagues. He has.
When I talk to him, it's like he thinks about everything, and what just his manner when he talks to you, you can tell it's deep.
And sometimes the judges. Judges are a peculiar type of people because they got a lot on their shoulders. But I want to be clear that we only have one Supreme Court justice, and let me just be clear that all of the other justices, they didn't write an opinion. They just said, let Jason Van Dyke get out in 3 years, 06. Essentially saying that even though the Supreme Court ruled that aggravated battery with the firearm is a Class X felony, and murder and second-degree murder is a Class 1 felony, Judge Gahn decided that he was going to ignore all judicial precedent and rule on the lower charge, thus giving Jason Van Dyke the opportunity to get out 3 years early. Now, the Supreme Court courts base their rulings on precedent. Right. And the Supreme Court is the highest court in the land, and the Supreme Court had already established that a Class X felony is greater than a Class 2, and Jason Van Dyke, convicted, should have been convicted on those. So essentially, what happened yesterday was white justice. White Supreme Court nominees, or Supreme Court justices, all just took a pass. They didn't say anything. Justice Scott Neville wrote a dissenting opinion that I will share on my Facebook page, but it is an example of why we need people on the bench that are our own. Now, let me also help you all understand that at the same day he decided that he was going to do the right thing, right? Guess what happened? He got a challenger. So guess what they did? Yesterday, also another challenger, a Latino challenger, announced that he was going to run for the black seat to be the historic first Latino. Remember I tell you I bet they be trying to take our lunch? See how I tell you they be trying to take our lunch? Now let me show you how this works though. And this is where black people cannot be complicit. Because one-on-one, y'all know black folks can handle their own. Right? So then guess what they did? So the white guys go find 2 more black candidates to run in the race against Scott Neville. So now dig this. They got 3 black candidates in the race that used to be our seat, a Latino, and then dig this, y'all. A rich white guy slides right in there And guess what? With the vote split 3 ways in the black community, 1 way in the Latino community, and 1 white boy, guess what that means for black people? No Supreme Court justice. So let me just say this. Let me just say this. We cannot allow the black candidates who are driven at this point by ego and a white promise to have us completely removed from the Supreme Court. Do you understand that if 3 black people run for Supreme Court, a Latino and a white person solo, the white person wins? Do we get that math? And so,
and you stated before during the break that also one of them has a female sounding name, and you know, ladies like to vote for ladies.
Named himself Shelley, changed his name to sound like a woman, heir to a Morton Salt, hundreds of millions of dollars. And y'all, we got 2 black candidates who can't put their ego aside or their anger aside to allow to take us completely out of the game. Y'all, see what I'm talking about? This is what I'm talking about. This is how they do us. Remember how we had 6 black candidates in the mayor's race when we could have won this sucker? Here we go again, and we letting the white people do us. Lollipop, lollipop, oh sucker, lollipops, black lollipops. We'll be back.
Yeah, boy, you're right. I mean, there's obviously some powerful force telling the other candidates, "Hey, man, you can win. You or if you don't win,
We'll appoint you."
Yeah, right. We'll help you out later, but you need to do this right now. Yeah. Yeah, we need.
That's real, right? I'm not crazy.
No, well, I didn't say that. But, but no, that's real talk. You know, it's personal benefit instead of group benefit. And, you know, and partly ego. You think, well, hey, I got this powerful person behind me, I can win. But, you know,
and then they let the white people go put the cables on them. You better than that nigga. You smarter than that nigga. And the other ones say, oh, look, you're a black woman. You could win. You know the black women will win and they'll vote for you over, and don't you worry. Mind you, this brother done supported everybody all the way up the chain.
Yeah.
Okay, 2 justices. I got it.
There's 2 spots?
There was, no, Kilbride also dissented.
No, okay. I don't know, I can stay at this real estate thing for 4 hours. I had a long board of directors meeting.
So Scott Neville was the most overturned black appellate court judge because when the appeals would come to him and it was a black issue, he would stand up. And then it would get to the Supreme Court level and get knocked down. Let me tell you, they don't want no Scott Nevilles. Everybody needs to tell House and Cynthia Cobb they need to get out. They do not need to be, if they stay in that race, they are truly being enemies to our long-term success. Truly. Truly. And that should make them persona non grata anywhere else. Because if we don't have a spot on the Supreme Court at all,
it is kind of, I mean, it's talking about precedent set. You know, generally when someone is appointed, we don't go after them. We congratulate them and try to support them because they're there. But
especially one that's like Scott Neville.
who's looking through our eyes at issues. Yeah.
Right.
Right. I totally agree with you. You gotta pick your battles.
Or pick your battles and don't let the white people pick it for you, because this is a white conspiracy. White conspiracy.
I always tell people, man, if you don't think white people are surprised when black people don't stick together at times, then you're wrong. They expect you to stick together, and when you don't, they're like, all right.
Right. So I told y'all, the biggest opposition to what's in it for the black people.
Yeah.
They be like, who did nigga? No, him. Don't you listen to that question. Like, I don't even be in the industry. It's like people work as hard as they can to say, what should black people get? Like, where are the economic resources for black people? Just say it. You can say it.
You can say it.
You can just say what's in it for the black people. I won't. You don't even gotta say my name. You ain't gotta act like I. Just. I'm saying. But the unison of the question. But alas. Lollipop, lollipop, oh lolly, lolly, lolly. And see, Scott Neville is easy to go after in the judicial community because he be fighting for black people issues. So, let me tell you, I can already see the ad in downstate and to all the police in the Beverly, right? Judge Scott Neville fought to overturn the Laquan McDonald shooting, right? See, I'm already seeing the narrative.
Yeah, Joe. You're right. I can't see it because you know how it is with the
And when
community. So they are so pro police that sometimes they have blinders on.
And think about this: where's the money gonna come from? Because remember when Mary Jane Tice ran for a state for Supreme Court and it turned into a multi-million-dollar race? And it was ultimately, well, the challenge is, in a race like this, like white folks gonna be running they gonna be counting votes. Black folks gonna be going around, taking me around the places. Now, mind you, this is a statewide election.
Yes.
Statewide. Now, he can win it out of Cook County. You can win it out of Cook County. But with Cook County chopped up the way that it is, right? Look, with all of those people, with 3 blacks, then because once you get out of, you got to get your plurality, you got to get your margins here. You got to get your margins in Cook County. And then you leave Cook County with a lead that you hope you sustain everywhere else you're going.
Yeah.
And the challenge is, if I can split up the South Side 3 ways. Is Franksky on? Is he on the line? Okay. I'm going to do it for like 5 minutes. 7 minutes? Okay. If it's good, we'll do it.
Who's Franksky?
The Atlanta DJ.
Oh, I think I can act that. What do you mean, wake up?
Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
WVON Morning Show. Call 773-591-1690.
What? You are tuned in to the Talk of Chicago, 1690 AM. I'm your host, Maze Jackson. Sitting in with me is former Cook County Board President Ty Stroger. Now, y'all know how I do at the top of the hour. Gotta say what's up to the WVON Morning Show team. What's up to Annette Flournoy in the newsroom, as well as the Wonder Twins. That's right, Sonia Escobar. She is the musical conductor of the Soul Plane. And Sonia Tompkins, my super producer. Now, y'all, you know my musical conductor is the maestro. And when she kicks the music, it's always a theme. It's always going on. It is always tapped into our guests. And let me tell y'all what. You cannot mention, first of all, you cannot even mention urban radio without talking about the Rainmaker. Right? You can't mention urban radio in the country without talking about the Rainmaker. You cannot touch down in the city of Atlanta without acknowledging the king of radio in Atlanta. It is on our show, Frank Ski. Frank Ski, welcome to the WVON Morning Show. How are you, my brother? Man, well, first of all, let me just say, as a novice to this game, it is an honor to be able to talk to a radio legend as yourself. You know what? You are one of the motivations and inspirations for a brother like myself from years and years and years ago. I remember when I first came to Atlanta and I turned on the radio, I was like, who is this guy? Who is this? And you know what? And when I wanted to move to Atlanta, I was like, maybe one day I can intern there and meet the great Frank Ski. And now here I am on the live line with them. So let me just say, let me get, you know, they say give them their flowers while they're here. WVON family, this is the urban radio legend from Atlanta. He is the Rainmaker, Frank Ski. Frank, but you're here today to talk to us about something that sticks out in my mind from back when I was a kid. Well, I was 18 years old, and I remember the story of the Atlanta child murders. And
right?
Yeah, and it seemed like they never seemed like it was a conclusion. Well, you were one of the only people to talk to the actual person that was accused. And you know what? Break it down. Take us back.
So listen, several years ago, I started getting these letters from jail. And like most of us who are in the radio, we get jail letters. So some of my letters piled up on the desk. And finally someone called and said, are you getting Wayne Williams letters? And I was like, Wayne Williams? And it didn't hit me until the person said the Atlanta child murders Wayne Williams. And I was like, oh. And I opened the email, and he just really wanted to have a platform to tell his story because he kept feeling like all the TV interviews they did of him, they never allowed him just to say his piece. And he thought that if I came and did it, I would let him do that, especially since it happened right here in Atlanta. And that's how it happened.
So, Frank Ski, first of all, you've got a show coming up to talk about this, right? You got a new documentary?
Yeah, there's a new documentary coming up on Discovery ID. It's coming up Saturday night. It starts at 9. It's a 3-part documentary, and it really goes into the historical significance of what really happened in the fact that Wayne Williams, people don't realize this, he was convicted of murdering 2 grown men. But the other 28 people that were on that list were kids. And they call it the Atlanta child murders, but Wayne was only convicted of killing 2 men, and they took the rest of the 28 and just threw it on his name to make it go away. And that's what people need to understand, and that's what this documentary goes into.
So, I remember being chilled in the fact that there were these kids that were being kidnapped and taken. And I remember just being all over the country. Frank, talk to me about what it was like living during that time, being in Atlanta, because I got to imagine it was a terror-filled time. And what was going on?
You know, interesting enough, I grew up in South Florida at the time.
Okay.
But my father's best friend was in Atlanta, so we would always come. And I remember all the kids being scared. I remember, you know, on television and on radio, they had a public service announcement that would say, it's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your kids are?
Oh my God, I remember that.
It was an eerie time in America, and even back home where I was growing up, I remembered it was the same thing where kids were just being afraid because so many kids, and think about this, this happened over a 2-year span. So 30 people in 2 years, and there was more than that. They just put the 30 on the list, but there were more than that. And at one point, it got to the point where they were killing 2 kids a week. That's how crazy it was.
Now, Frank, I guess my question becomes this. So, what was the resolution? You talked to Wayne, and if he's not the person that may have, first of all, do you think he did it?
You know, interesting enough, when I met Wayne, I was in there and didn't even know it was Wayne, because Wayne is like this 5'2", short, skinny guy. And even back then, he was small, he was frail. And the adult men that he got convicted of killing were like 180 pounds, and he supposedly strangled them. So I'm looking at this little skinny guy like, you strangled a 180-pound guy, picked his body up, and threw it over a wall into the water? It didn't really sit well with me from then. But as I went along, I realized, and I thought to myself, if Wayne did it, I don't know. But I don't believe, honestly, truly, and I'll tell you this, Maze, I don't believe he did all of them. There was a lot of rumors about the KKK killing kids. There were rumors about gang initiation, specifically with a gang that was coming out of Chicago into Atlanta. There was so many rumors going around, and many people said that they had called the police because they had seen white guys driving through their neighborhood trying to pick up kids. But because they were poor and black, the police never followed up on them.
Wow. And so now, and so, you know, it seems like, you know what, this is like, this story feels like what we used to call in rhetoric class a dangling participle.
Yeah.
In that there is no real, it's kind of like we're left hanging, but I feel like it just kind of went away. It's like they put the guy in jail and nobody asked any more questions. Were there any more murders after that?
So they're saying, here's the interesting part. I'm glad you add that. They're saying the murder stopped, but during that time, Atlanta was the murder capital of the United States. So the murders didn't stop. The murders stopped as it related to people they were putting on the profile of the Atlanta child killings. But the murders did not stop, no.
Golly. And so,
yeah.
And so let me ask a question. Is this like a cold case? Is this one of those things where they are now going back and looking at the DNA and saying, hey, we can find somebody? What's going on now?
You know, imagine this. Imagine you're a mother. Your kid doesn't come home from school. You call the police. The police never come to your house. Never. 3, 4, 5 days later, a week, 2 weeks later, they're pulling a body out of the river. They're finding the body in the woods. The police come to your house and say, we need you to identify a body. You go down, you identify the body, you bury your child. The police never come back to your house. They never investigate your child's murder. They never come get any DNA from your house they never get anything from you. Would this really be over for you?
No. Golly.
That's a deep thought.
Good God. So now, you know what? As I think about this, it's like it's making me feel all kind of funny all over again. So Wayne, so now let me ask you a question. Are you, on this documentary, will you talk to Wayne?
Yes. So they did use pieces of my interview with Wayne, and you can see his expression when he looks into the camera. You can see when he says, I did not do this to the people of Atlanta. It wasn't me. And you'll hear why he says it's not me. And particularly because Wayne Williams was the guy that he wanted to be in the music business. He had a recording studio in his house. He had a bootleg radio station in his house. He was always recruiting talent, being at talent shows with kids. So he fit the profile. But the thing is that Atlanta was in a position, they wanted the Olympics, they needed the negativity to go away, They needed everything to go away, and many people believe it was a cover-up, and that the real killer is still out there, and that Wayne Williams is in jail for the wrong reason.
Yeah, we got to check this documentary out. So, Frank Ski, tell the WVON family where they can catch it and when they can catch the documentary.
So it's on ID Discovery ID. It's going to happen Saturday night at 9 p.m. It's a 3-part series, so make sure you watch it. Make sure you tell your friends to watch it, because the same thing that happens on this documentary happens across America today.
Jeez. WVON family, the next time, hopefully I get to talk to the rainmaker of urban radio, Frank Ski. It will be on a lighter topic. But I'm going to tell you what, we have got to pay attention because history is destined to repeat itself. And y'all, I told y'all, I just asked y'all earlier on the social media question of the day, in case of emergency, who protects Black Chicago? But in case of emergency, who protects Black children? WVON family, give a big warm round of applause to Frank Ski. He is the man from Atlanta. You can catch him on V103. Frank Ski, we look forward to talking to you again, my brother, and thank you for everything that you've done for the radio. Up, and he's out of here. All right, so, yeah, that the Atlanta child murders. Todd, you remember those?
Oh, yeah, that was big stuff. I don't think anybody anywhere close to my age would forget that.
I just can't. You know what? I didn't realize that it's the 10 o'clock. You know where your kids are at. Because I remember we had those, like everybody I knew had a poster like that during that time. Look, y'all, let me, I want to go back to this Scott Neville thing real quick. And we got to get out of here because you know we get out of here early.
Yep.
Todd, so let me just say that Black folks, there's a reason that we need to keep a Black Supreme Court justice. First of all, the Black Supreme Court justice is the person who nominates and appoints Black judges.
That's correct.
The person that you are most likely to see in your life out of any of your elected officials is a judge.
At some point.
Right? If there are no Black judges, there's nobody there to appoint Black judges, we're screwed. Scott Neville has been the most overturned appellate court judge in history. That means that when Black people went to his court to appeal, he understood the BS that was going on and would write the opinion and say, overturn the sentence. But guess what would happen? It would go to the Supreme Court and the white folks would be like, oh, no. No, we not you lock them Negroes up. So let me tell you what. We cannot afford to not have any Black person on the Supreme Court. And I'm just telling y'all now. How many of y'all learned the lesson from this last election cycle with 6 Black candidates in a race? The one Black candidate can't win. So it's the same lesson, and we're about to elect. This is what has to happen. What has to happen is whoever is the people that are supposed to be taking these other Black candidates around, because y'all know somebody going to be like, let me take the job, $5,000. I'm telling y'all now, I'm calling y'all out. If you are participating in the demise of the only Black Supreme Court judge, I'm calling you out. I'm calling you out. Because this is too crucial. Do y'all understand that we will have no representation at the Supreme Court level? Because of our own selves? This race is ultimately winnable for Scott Neville if Black people stick together. Now these white folks done went out and recruited them 2 judges. Not one. They went and recruited a Black man, and what else did they recruit? A Black woman to take out who? A Black Supreme Court judge. We only have one. You see what's happening right now at this Treasurer's office where our one spot is being challenged. You got one spot on the Supreme Court. Let me also say that Justice Kilbride was the other person that dissented. Mm-hmm. Let me just make sure I got that too. Those 2. But are we going to really repeat this same mistake? And it's like everybody looks nice and they smile and they sit at the table, but they are sitting in the middle of our room as part of the conspiracy to take away our power. Now, the Supreme Court judge ain't your Democratic machine politician. And all it takes for you to do is to sit down with Justice Neville one time, to understand that that man is in it for the Black people and uses his pulpit to ensure that we have a voice. Now, that is the highest court in the land of Illinois. And we are going to allow Black people to destroy it? Now, if they take it, that's fine. That ain't fine.
Right, but
we ain't going to give it to them.
Right.
And y'all not going to just walk. So I'm telling you now, because I know the white folks are going to be paying a lot of money for these other 2 Black candidates to be splitting our vote. It can't happen. Look, that's the music. That's my time because y'all done caught the Holy Ghost. So for Annette Flournoy in the newsroom, for Miss Sonia Escobar and Sonia Tompkins, the Wonder Twins, for Todd Stroger, I am the host of the WVON Morning Show. And yeah, it's going to be some people that's mad today, but I really don't care. And if they don't like it, you can still tell them. May said, we out of here. Peace.
Live from the WVON newsroom. Here's our news now.
Rain is moving out. Temperatures are 44 today. Spring comes this afternoon.
You got anything you want to close with, Todd? The camera's on you, my man.
No, I think you hit some great issues, especially about the Supreme Court race. This is important. This is important to us. Got to have a voice up there. You know how we talk about Clarence Thomas so much because he doesn't seem to represent our area. He doesn't see things like the people in our area see things. Well, got a guy up in our Supreme Court who does.
Right.
We need to keep him there.
And it's funny because Scott Neville, but it's a reason that they also nominated Scott because they probably feel like he's the easiest way to take the spot, right? Because here you got a person that has spent his whole career making judgments for black people,
Right.
Yeah. And let me just say, while everybody up here just trying to just say what happened. That's a matter of record, bro. You can go look at his court opinions. All you need to do is take a moment to read the opinion he did on what just happened with this Jason Van Dyke situation, and you will understand before you just start talking shit who this brother is and who he's been for this long. You gotta climb the ladder, and it's at some point you can't default somebody for getting to the top spot. And it's like, you're not going to get everything you want all the time. But Scott Neville is about as close as you're going to get in the judge situation where, think about all of his colleagues overturning the most overturns because he's been the most to stand up. Don't play with me. Don't play with me. It's like, we just on some fuck them all, right?
Right. So
what you saying is, you think you'll do better with Shelly Winters or whatever his name is? You think you'll do better with Jesse Reyes? You think so? Can we at least at some point, act like we got some political sense, just some point, emotions. Let me just blurt some shit out. Because it sounds cool to just be against everything. Everybody sold they soul. Did you go to work today? Who do you work for? Do you have a job? Are you employed? What does your boss do at work? At home? All I'm suggesting is so we gonna be so smart, we gonna throw our own Supreme Court judge off the bench. That's crazy, y'all. That's crazy. And I'm going to tell you, them two black candidates are going to be well-funded. Well-funded. They're going to have the money to be everywhere. They're going to have the money to pay all the committeemen to be on the palm cards because every palm card that he ain't on is one chance for him to lose. Because remember, judges can't campaign the same way that everybody else campaigns. They have limits that have been put on them, and they are also campaign averse. So the judges are the best candidates to have because they know nothing. So they just say, whatever you tell me to do, I'm going to do. But this is going to be different because it's not going to be a typical judge race where you get to just go around and wave and say hi and the committeeman puts you on where people put you on they put you on the roster and they say hi and you just wave and you walk around and they say, oh, the judge is here, and you hope that it's the palm card. That's how we do the campaign. These white folks finna run a door-to-door whole full-out operation. I bet you that Shelly dude is gonna be mailing to the whole state. Again, he's going to put a full campaign apparatus in play. And we don't even have that apparatus in existence. And so it's all these, and all the people posturing right now are agriculture. They're agriculture. The judge is agriculture. Agriculture. They ain't warlike. They're not. They've been used to peacefully going to places and waving.
Right.
This is about to be a war. But okay, I'm through. Y'all done beat the fight out of me today. All right, I'm gonna holler at y'all till tomorrow. Peace. Let me just go check the roster, make sure they don't sneak somebody else in. Man. All right, y'all. We out of here. Peace.